Howdy y'all, thank you for joining me today for this playthrough of Marvel Champions, the card game. We're going to do a solo playthrough with the Nightcrawler hero pack. The thing about these, if you are new to this is a pre-constructed deck that is ready to go straight out of the box, and that's what we're going to test out. We're going to see, basically have taken this deck and sleeved it up and just shuffled it, and it's basically unchanged straight out of this box, as it tells you, like it's already pre-constructed back here. And we're going to just try it out against the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen is one of the villain groups, or the villains from the Age of Apocalypse campaign. It's the second one, I believe, in the campaign. So we've been just putting each of the decks from this chapter of Marvel Champions up against them. I've already given this quite a few shuffles, but we'll give it a few more right here and call it there. This is your first time joining me. I do a teach just through the first round, and it's just kind of like a quick teach of like how the game kind of works and basic mechanics of the game. I don't do a real deep one, but it's really just so that if this is your first time and Nightcrawler happens to be that character you like and that makes you want to jump into this game, you can see how the deck works, or if you're just looking to see if you want to add this deck to your expansions or to your game. And we'll see how it plays. I am excited to play this one. It is one of my play styles, which is protection, so we'll see how that goes. And as you can see here, the way this is going to work, we set up the Horsemen. Normally it's just one villain, and you're fighting that one villain, and you got to take them through stages. But in this one, now we played it a few times, we play against the Horsemen, which means we have to knock each of them out. But technically they don't get all knocked out till they're all reduced to 0, and you can see they each have 9 hit points here. The way we knew how to set all this up is it lets you know here the contents of the deck, which we went with this contents. It's got Famine, Pestilence, Death, Four Horsemen, Standard, and then 2 modular sets. They suggest Dystopia, Nightmare, and Hounds. So what I did, and I've shuffled this up, I'll do some more shuffles here. I did put Dystopia, Nightmare, but instead of Hounds, since the Nightcrawler expansion came with the Crazy Gang, I replaced Hounds with the Crazy Gang. So they're going to be in this. And you can see here it says for setup, shuffle the 4 Horsemen villains, then reveal them in a row. Did that from left to right. Place the active counter on the leftmost villain. Each player reveals a random side scheme from the 4 Horsemen encounter set. I always forget about that. So I didn't do that yet, but that's fine because I would like to give this some shuffles and done it on camera anyways. So we'll shuffle this a few times. Alright, so that deck should be good to go. It says put an active counter on the person to the left. We'll use my little dog miniature that I use here, and we'll just use that as the active counter, because what it's going to say is this is the active villain, basically. So this is the one that's going to do all the attacking, and then after they attack, it's going to let us know all this here. It'll go to the next one, and so forth and so forth. Alright, we have to reveal from the deck till we hit, it said, a 4 Horsemen side scheme, so we're looking for a side scheme, and it's got to be from the 4 Horsemen. Well, there's a side scheme, but right, it's got to be 4 Horsemen, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm a little rusty at the filming part of this. Each player reveals a random side scheme from the 4 Horsemen encounters. That's what I thought I remembered. There it is. So we're going to start with the Spectre of Death in play. And I'm going to shuffle this back in as I am reading through this. So we're going to have this side scheme in play right now. If you're new to this, basically the way the game works is we're going to be going through turns, and we have to try to knock out the 4 Horsemen. Basically do 36 damage, because we got to knock them out, 36 plus damage, because we're going to have to knock each of them out. And that's how we win. But we lose, and the Horsemen win if they manage to knock my character out, or all characters out, which in this case is just Nightcrawler. So if they knock my character out, just me, since we're solo, or if they manage to pull off their main scheme, which is right here. Basically, by pulling it off, it means they get a number of threat on here equal to 12 per number of players. So if they get 12 threat on here, they win. So we win by knocking them out. They win by pulling off their main scheme or knocking me out. But there's going to be this side scheme in play, which it lets us know here, the Spectre of Death. The Shadow of Death drives fear into the hearts of those he hunts. And when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme deals 1 damage to each character they control. Boo. Sorry, I just realized I misplaced my threat markers, but I have them here. So it says here, it starts with 6 threat counters already on this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, so in order to defeat this, we have to remove this 6th threat from this. When we get all 6 threat off of here, that means we defeat it. Then the player who defeated this scheme deals 1 damage to each character they control. So that's going to kind of suck a little bit, but hopefully we don't have allies out. It won't be as bad. All right. The main scheme here lets us know is a forced response. After a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. That's what I was talking about. That each villain will do their attack, or basically they'll activate by either attacking or scheming, and then when they do, the next one becomes active, and so forth and so forth. Now, when we're attacking, we can attack any of them. It's just, we kind of want to get their hit points down, because each of these guys have a bad thing that if they have at least 1 hit point or more, we'll have to deal with. Like, for instance, Pestilence. If Pestilence attacks, after Pestilence attacks us, if she has at least 1 hit point, treat my identity's text box as if it were blank, except for traits. So basically gets rid of any abilities I have, and then so forth. They each have their own thing. So we want to at least lower their hit points so that we're not having to deal with their attack and the extra stuff. So, all right, I think I gave this enough shuffles now. Do a few on camera for just doing it. And then, boom. All right, so that'll be our deck. Okay, so we have our thing here. We have the 9 hit points. We got to hope to not get knocked out with. We have the first player counter since we're solo. We're the only ones, so we just have the first player counter. And it lets us know here, because we we start in alter ego form with a hand size of 6 and hit points 9. So we're going to draw up to our hand size of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course I draw allies when we're worried about they're going to have to take damage. So now that we've drawn our hand size of 6, the first thing we could do is, if we want, we can discard any of these cards and then draw it back up to our hand size of 6. I'll take a look at these real fast and see. Since the deck is pretty new to us and we're still figuring it out, even though I played this game enough to kind of figure out, but I want to save cards anyways, I'm not going to take a mulligan, so then that means we get to begin the game. The game begins in hero form, and the way it's going to work, or in hero form, in the hero phase, and we're going to go through the hero phase, and then once everyone's done their hero phase, we'll go to the villain phase, and that'll be the structure of a turn, or a round. I should say a round, actually. All right, so one of the first things you can do, since we're on the hero phase, and it's my turn, is if you have any cards that have actions on them, you could do those actions. Well, if we read on Kurt here, it actually says, as an action, I can search my deck for a copy of Banff and add it to my hand. Limit once per round. So we're going to go ahead and go do that. So I go on my deck and get a copy of Banff. So we have a copy of Banff there. We add it to our hand. And then shuffle our deck afterwards. And I'll go ahead and cut through this shuffle. That way I don't have to watch, because I'm going to give it a good amount of shuffles here. When I reshuffle my deck, I typically do it 30 to 50 times just to make sure I got a good shuffle in. So didn't want y'all to sit through the boring shuffle. So that should be more than enough shuffles right there. So we'll go ahead and call it there. And that would be doing that action. Doesn't exhaust me or anything because it didn't tell me to. One of the other things you could do is once per turn you get what's called a free change of form, basically. So basically what that means is I can switch from alter ego form to hero form or vice versa, but you can only get it for free once per round, or yeah, once per, I should say, turn or whatever, or really even round, because you can only do it during the hero turn anyways. But basically the only way you'd be able to do it again is if you have a card that says you can do it, like this one, Poured Away, that lets you discard a copy of BAM from your hand, change forms. And that's why I say free, because you could just do it. So we're going to go ahead and do that for our next action of our turn, basically, is switch to, it's not really an action, but just do it. We're going to switch to his hero form. And you can see what happens is I change my abilities, stats, whatever you want to call them, but then I also get a new action here, which, like this one says, rapid teleportation. As an action, spend one resource of any type, return a copy of BAM from your discard pile to your hand. So that switched us to our hero form. So the next thing I want to do is I want to play a card. And in order to play a card, if you look at the card, you look at the very top here, it tells you the cost of the card right here at the top left. So it's, in this case, I want to play Gambit, so it costs me 3 resources. And the way I spend the resources is I would discard cards, and you can look on the bottom there, and it's got resources on the bottom, these little symbols that are multicolored. And basically it's, you discard the card, or spend the card, to turn them into resources. So hence, for instance, I want to bring Gambit into play. It costs me 3 in order to do that. So I discard these 3 cards, so 3 resources, and that pays for the cost of this card, and it comes into play. When Gambit comes into play, he is an ally. You are limited to having 3 allies per out at the same time, unless you have something that changes that. And then notice it's got these X's here, and we'll get to what those are all about if you're new, but it's got X's here. So we need to read down here. It says X is the number of boost icons on the card under Gambit. As a response, after Gambit enters play, look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and tuck one under him so that only the boost field is visible. We're going to draw the top 3 cards from the deck, and we get to choose one of these to put under Gambit. Now instantly I want to do this one because that gives me, remember X, oh sorry, off camera. I want to use this one because it's got 3 there, and it's actually 1, 2, 3, kind of interesting we drew that. But because of the way Gambit works, that's going to be his stats if I put a 3 there. But I kind of want to look at these and make sure they're not ones that are going to be really bad for me. So he's going to confuse me, which will be annoying, and then he's got 5 hit points. He's going to be hard to bring down, but he doesn't really attack for much or scheme for much, so not overly worried with him. Well, sure, these just look at, so that means these are going to go back. I can't put them back in any order. They're going to go back in this order. So this is going to be my boost card. This is going to be my encounter card. So I'm going to have to encounter this, attach to death and move. Ooh, that's annoying. So I almost want to just take that just to get it out of here. But then if I do that, this will be the card. So we might as well take the 3 and put these back on top of the deck. We at least know what's coming for us. And then we tuck this under Gambit, so that now, since this is tucked under him, that means his stats are 3. He thwarts for 3 and attacks for 3. Okay, I had something different planned, but knowing that card's going to come out, kind of just going to mess up my allies. But if all my allies do all their stuff and they're all beat up anyways, then it doesn't matter if they do extra damage. So all that said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring out Day Tripper. So, cost me 2. I'm going to discard these 2 cards. That brings out Day Tripper. Day Tripper has a response just like Gambit. It says, after Day Tripper enters play, search your deck and discard pile for a copy of BAMF and attach it to an enemy. Deal 1 damage to each enemy with a copy of BAMF attached. I wasn't going to bring Day Tripper out. I was planning on using those BAMFs, put them out, then bring them out, do some extra damage. But so we're just going to go to discard pile. I'm not going to take one out of my deck. And we're going to put BAMF onto Pestilence here. And what BAMF does is it's a zero cost. Well, normally it's zero cost, but so we could just play it as one of our card plays. But Day Tripper's saying attach it to an enemy and then deal 1 damage to each enemy that has a Bamf attached. And what Bamf does is attach to an enemy. You only have 1 on per enemy. As a hero interrupt, so basically it's saying as an interrupt that when an attached enemy attacks, that means it's getting ready to attack. So before it attacks, I can discard this card, declare Nightcrawler as a defender, which we'll get to how that works if you're new, and then without exhausting him. So, pretty good. We're going to attach the Pestilence. And remember, Day Tripper said do 1 damage to each character or enemy that has Bamf attached to it. So we do 1 damage to Pestilence. And then now Day Tripper is out. Also on your turn, you could do what's called a basic ability. Basically, on the left side of your character, you have some basic abilities here that you can activate on your turn. For instance, if I want to, I can thwart, attack, or defend. So for instance, if I want to thwart, I would exhaust Nightcrawler and then go thwart a number of threat off of a scheme equal to this number. So for instance, if I exhausted Nightcrawler and thwarted for 2 here, I would come over here and get to remove 2 threat from a scheme. I could remove from this, but this don't have any threat on it at the moment. But this one does, so I could come over here and remove 2 threat from that. Or I can exhaust Nightcrawler and attack an enemy for this number. Or if there's an attack coming in on me, I can exhaust Nightcrawler to defend and reduce the damage by this number. I'm showing on the other side just so I go through them all, but you got recovery also. So like if I was on Ultra Ego form, I could exhaust and recover this many hit points back to my max. But of course we can't do that because I'm on Ultra Ego and I'm at max anyway. So that's doing a basic action. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to do a basic attack of 1 towards death. So death takes 1 damage. And then that's it. You'll notice your allies have the same abilities. They just do not have defense. So if they defend, they would still exhaust to do their abilities and even defend. It's just if they defend, they just take it to their hit points. They don't have any reduction of damage. I'm going to do the same thing I just did with Nightcrawler. I'm going to attack with Day Tripper for 2. And we're going to attack Death again. So Death's going to go down to 6 and take 2 damage. Or take 2 damage and go down to 6. But if you'll notice on the allies, they have these little stars underneath their abilities. Those are called consequence stars. So after they do whatever ability they're doing, they have to take consequence damage equal to how many stars are there. So since I attacked, Day Tripper has to take 1 damage. And Day Tripper has 2, so that means Day Tripper has 1 more damage left before she is knocked out. We're going to do the same thing with Gambit. Remember, his stats are equal to whatever boost we put under here, which was 3. So he's going to attack Death for 3. And then he takes a consequence damage. On your hero's turn, once you have no cards you want to play or no other actions you want to do, you could choose to pass. And then it would go to the next hero, the next player's turn, and they would do their hero turn. Since we're solo, that's it. It means we're done. And once all the heroes have gone, now we go to where all the heroes can choose to discard any cards they want to from their hand. In this case, I have no cards in hand, so I have no cards to discard. And then after you discard, you're going to draw back up to your max hand size. Now remember, my max hand size was 6, but now it is 5 because I'm in hero form. So I draw up to my hand size of 5, so I had 0, so I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After you draw up your cards, you ready and unexhaust all your cards. That is the hero phase, and we move on to the villain phase. The first step of the villain phase is the acceleration phase. The villain is going to accelerate, or villains in this case, is going to accelerate their main scheme. So we look here and it tells us how much to accelerate the main scheme and add this number of threat equal to number of players. We're solo, so there's only one player, so it adds +1 per number of players. So we have one threat on here. But okay, so this is the threat, or the threat that's on this scheme. And basically, yeah, we have now accelerated it. It just added 1, so they're 1 to 12 to pulling off their main scheme. So the next step is the villains are going to activate. And the way they activate is they're going to activate against each player, and they're going to look and see what form each player is in, and that is what they will do. So when they activate against a player, they're going to, if their hero is, or if their identity is in alter ego form, they will scheme and add threat to the main scheme. If the hero, I keep wanting to say hero, if the identity is in hero form, then they will attack the hero and do that much damage. Plus, if they're a villain, they get what's called a boost card. So like when we looked at that Gambit card and it had these boost icons on the bottom, they add that much damage to what they're doing. So in this case, Nightcrawler is in hero form and Pestilence is activating against me. Since I'm in hero form, that means Pestilence will attack me. We have a hero interrupt here that says when attached enemy attacks, so this attached enemy is getting ready to attack, I discard this card, and I could choose to do this. It's not a forced one, so I could leave that on there, but I am going to go ahead and accept it. So when the attached enemy attacks, discard this card and declare Nightcrawler as the defender without exhausting him. Because remember, now I'm being attacked. I told you with this ability, I would have to choose to defend, and I could reduce that. But this card's saying I can defend without having to exhaust. So basically makes it where I'm, because remember, you don't ready or unexhaust until the end of your turn. So basically, if you defend now, you would not be able to do any of your other stuff on the next turn. So I was using that to teach all that, but actually I am not going to, because remember, this is not forced. If it said forced, I would have to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to defend, because remember, they're attacking, so I could defend with my allies. Don't really want to do that, because I want to be able to use their damage and whatnot. I'm just going to defend with Nightcrawler, so I'm just going to exhaust to defend. So now that I've defended, Pestilence attacks for 1, plus they get a boost card added to the stack, and then you flip over all the boost cards, which there's none in there, so there's the only one. And we don't care about the rest of the card. We're only looking down here. And however many numbers are of these symbols that are here, that's how much they get to add to their attack. So 1 and 1 means Pestilence is attacking for 2. This has an additional boost, so Pestilence is now attacking for 3 damage. I would have to take 3 damage, but remember I defended, so I get to reduce the damage by 3 because my defense is 3, so I take 3 minus 3. I take 0 damage. And then now, remember, I mentioned these all going to do something when they attack, and it gives you a star here to remember that on the attack damage. It says a forced response after Pestilence attacks you. If she has at least 1 hit point, she does. Treat your identity's text box as if it were blank, except for traits until the next villain phase begins. So I'm just going to take this little marker and cover that up, because it's like that text box is blank, except for my traits, which are X-Men. I think it's mutant on the other side, but this means I can't activate that ability. Next, if there were any minions in play, they're usually attached to the ally when they come out, but if there were minions in play, they would do the same thing now against the guys that they are attached to or engaged with. And then that would be the villain's activations and whatnot. Now remember, we have a forced response here. I said if it's forced, you have to do it. Just like this one was a forced response to do that ability. This one even says forced response that after a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. So now Death is the next active villain. Next we go to the encounter step. The encounter step is we draw an encounter card and deal each person an encounter card. and add it to their encounter stack. In this case, I don't have one, so this is my only encounter card. And now we're going to have to deal with our encounter cards. In this case, we do care. We already knew what this was. It's going to be these metal wings, and we have to deal, and we do care what the card says now at this point. So it says, it's an attachment attached to death and move the active counter to him. So attach to death and move the active counter to him. We did that. All right. Death gains retaliate 1. So retaliate means if, like when I attack death, if he has, in this case, retaliate 1 now, after the attack, he retaliates for 1 damage against me, or whatever retaliate it is. And it's considered to have at least 1 hit point remaining. Because remember, their abilities are all about if they have a hit point remaining. So as long as this is on death, it's like, even if I have him at 0 hit points, it's considered he's always got 1 hit point. So he's always going to do his ability, which is really annoying. And then he's going to get +1 scheme and +1 attack. And as a hero response, after I attack death, or resolve his forced response. So if I attack death and resolve his forced response as if he attacked, which is, in this case, I'd have to deal 1 damage to each character I control, so all my allies and myself and my identity. But then I get to get rid of this card. So basically, it's going to keep death up until I attack him and get his last, and I'm going to have to take the hits of damage. But yep, metal wings are now attached to death here. Once everyone's done all their encounters, the encounter step is over, and we move to the last part of the villain phase, which is pass the first player marker to the next player in turn order. We're playing solo, so we're the only player, and that is it. So that's it. I'm not going to do any more teaches now. We're just going to play through this and see how we're going. I know that was boring to anyone who's already done it, but it's just so that if this is someone, I do enjoy this game. I like people to be able to play it. And if they had an interest in it, at least they can follow on my teach now. And if there's something else that comes up, I'll talk about it, but it's just gloss over. But that's the basics. That's how the game basically works. If I didn't mess that up as I taught. But either way, we go back to the beginning of the hero phase, and we just rinse and repeat. All right, we're going to make this quick and dirty. I'm just going to go ahead and attack with Day Tripper for 2. And the same person I'm going to attack with Gambit for 3 just to save us some time here. So we're going to attack 1 enemy for 5 damage. We're going to choose Famine. So Famine will take the attack from both of them. Just speed timing this a little bit. Or Hurt of Force. But now each of these has to take their consequence damage, which is enough to knock out Day Tripper here because she only had 2 hit points. Next, I want to bring out North Star here. So I'm discarding these, but remember, notice this one says it's a resource, so it means it's just a resource card. That's what it does. And it shows 1 down here, but it says double the number of resources this card generates while paying for a protection/green card, protection card. North Star is a protection card, so we're bringing North Star out. And North Star has an interrupt ability that when a boost card is turned face up, so when they attack, when the villain attacks or schemes, when a boost card is turned face up during an attack, only during attack, sorry, not during scheming, deal 1 damage to North Star, cancel all boost icons on that card. I wasn't going to bring him out because, yeah, we know Death's going to do his things, but I want to get out as much damage as I can. So let's see if we can just do that. So we're going to have North Star go ahead and attack Famine for 2. Taking Famine to 2. And then North Star takes the consequence damage. I'm going to go ahead and switch to Alter Ego form with Nightcrawler. Now, notice that doesn't unexhaust me. And I was originally planning on bringing out North Star by bringing out a Bamf from my deck, but this is still, my text box is still blank because of Pestilence. But I'm doing this because I want Death to not attack. I want Death to scheme. So that's why I'm doing this. With that, I'm going to go to the end of my turn. I'm going to keep both these cards in hand. So I have 2. My hand size is back to 6. So now we're going to draw 4 new cards. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then ready all of our characters. And then we go to the villain phase, and Pestilence said this gets removed at the beginning. Then it stays there until the next villain phase begins. So I have my traits or my abilities back, or my text box back. So we go to the acceleration, adding 1 threat to the main scheme. So now we go to the villain activation. I am in alter ego form. So Death is going to scheme to the main scheme. So he schemes for 1 plus. All right, now when this symbol is there, that means it's not those typical symbols. That means we do care about something on here. We go to where that symbol is on the card, and we have to do the boost ability. Here it says, after this activation, Pestilence activates against you. Do not give Pestilence a boost card for that activation. Boo. Well, actually, that's not as bad as I think, but still. It's annoying, but for a second there I was thinking, oh, it's going to make my text box still blank, but it's not, because I'm still in alter ego form. So we're going to finish the activation of Death. He schemes for 1 plus 1, so 2, and it didn't add anything, just means Pestilence is going to activate also, so adding 2 threat to the main scheme. And this is how you can lose the game real fast if you're not paying attention to how all this could do, because now this rolls into another activation. I'm still in alter ego form, so it's activating for 2. Doesn't have any pluses, and it said do not give Pestilence a boost card, so it's just putting another 2 threat on the main scheme. So they're halfway there. Hopefully not living on a prayer. Here we go. All right. So they got, that was just from that activation. Remember the force. Now this force response doesn't happen because this is only after Death attacks. Did not attack. He schemed. But this force response says after villain activates. It did activate. Then it moves to the next villain. And then now we have to deal with the encounter card. Oh, I've had this one before. We have hunted here. It is an obligation. Basically, this comes over and attaches to me as an obligation I have to deal with because I'm being hunted now. This symbol means that during that encounter step, when we're dealing cards, that's what I say, you deal them first, then activate them all, or go through them and play them all. In this case, I would have had to deal an additional one to the first player, which I'm the only player, so I'd have to take an additional one. And this is going to be in my play area until, as an alter ego action, I discard a card from my hand, then I can discard this card. So we're going to have to deal with that. So the encounter step is done. So that's the end of the villain phase. Back to the hero phase. Well, we're in alter ego form, so let's go ahead and take care of this. So as an alter ego action, I will discard a card from my hand to discard this card. So I'll discard this card from my hand. I was actually planning on using that, but boo. Oh man, I was about to make a mistake. I'm still going to do it. I was going to do this action. I was going to search my deck for a copy of Banff and discard to my hand. I thought that was deck discard pile. I think there's only one left in the deck. So man, yeah. Maybe I do want Famine to hit me up so I can get my Banffs back. But either way, we're going to go in the deck because I'm pretty sure there were 3. So there should be another Banff in here. Yep, there it is. I think that's the last one. I'm just going to check since we're going to have to shuffle the deck anyways. Because if I remember the unboxing, there was 3. Yep, there's only 3. So now I have them all. This goes to my hand. I was activating that action. Let's shuffle. Hope we get a good shuffle in there. Alright, we're going to switch to my hero form. We're going to have North Star go ahead and attack Famine for 2. Which is enough to not... Well, KOs or takes down to 0 so that Famine doesn't have this ability anymore, but I didn't mention it. I mean, I said it, but I didn't show where it says it. It says here, Famine cannot be defeated while another villain has at least 1 hit point. So that's the reason we got to knock out everyone's hit points. So we got Famine down. North Star is going to take his 1 consequence damage. He's got 1 more hit point left. And I didn't combine these because I knew that was going to be enough to do that. And we're going to have Gambit go ahead and attack War for 3 damage. Taking War to 6. But then that's enough damage to KO Gambit, or defeat Gambit. We're going to play Bamf. Remember, it's 0, attached to an enemy, only 1 per enemy, so we can't put it on Pestilence. We're not going to put it on Death. We are going to put it on War here. I'll just pick it up and do this. How about that? There we go. So War has Bamf on him. And I was going to keep that Bamf in hand, but I have another plan. Because I was going to do the Scout Ahead next. It costs 1 to do, so I'm going to use this card. And we're going to do Scout Ahead here. I have not done an event yet. Basically, an event is, I didn't mention the Bamfs are upgrades, so they just basically, they're attachments to a degree, just hero form of it. But we got events here. It's a one-time use. It is a thwart. As a hero action, I can thwart. This is the hero. I have to be in hero form. Action. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. I may discard a copy of Bamf from my hand to remove 3 threat from another scheme. Oh, it would have been another scheme anyway. So I wouldn't have done it anyway. So there we go. So I get to go remove 3 threat from a scheme. So I'm going to remove 3 threat from the main scheme. I'm going to play Port and Punch here. It costs 2. So pay these 2. This is another event. This one's an attack event. Hero action attack. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. Period. Deal 3 damage to each enemy with Bamf attached. So, we're going to do 3 damage to an enemy. So we're going to do 3 damage to War. And then it said, deal 3 damage to each enemy with Bamf attached. Bamf attached, Bamf attached. So, that's the reason I had other plans, but I was like, well, this is enough to do some crazy stuff, so let's just do it. Make sure I read that right. Yep, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Did it. Deal 3 damage to each enemy with Bamf attached. So this could be, if you have all your Bamfs out there, that's the reason I had this in hand. That's the reason I chose not to use that Bamf, since we knew what was coming. I knew I was going to have enough to soak up the damage anyways. So I think there was only 1 of these in the deck, but man, you could do 12 damage. Granted, but remember, typically there's only 1 villain. So this just happens to be good in this case. And then if there were some minions out, that would be really good. It really, since I have a 2 thwart, it'd be better for me to thwart than to attack, because I have a 1 attack. But I mean, 1 damage is 1 damage, so we're going to just attack Pestilence for 1 damage. So if we draw well enough, like if we get another attack, I think this is done. Well, we got to see what happens on the encounter, because I've had games go south real fast. But I mean, I saw that with the unboxing. I was thinking, man, this deck looks like it could do some crazy stuff. So with that, we're going to go to the end of my villain phase. End of my hero phase. I have no cards in hand. So I draw up to my hand size of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Let's ready these. We have to accelerate the scheme for 1. I am in hero form. So Famine will attack me, but they're at 0, so they don't get their extra stuff. So Famine's attacking for 1, plus my boost card. So 1, up, what is this? Boo. Alright, well that makes it where I can't really do anything, because yep, I become stunned. And what is stunned? It means this card comes on my character, so I am now stunned. The next time this character would attack, discard this status card instead. So basically, my next attack, whether it be card or from that ability, is canceled out. It doesn't do it. But that was the encounter card. And I realized through looking at that, I forgot that the forced response of this over here, that when this character activates, or this villain activates, the next one in line becomes the new active villain. Oh, I'm an idiot, because I was thinking, why are we doing the card? Hey, that's going to happen. It's just, Yeah, that's the reason my brain just froze up a little bit. I was like, wait, what? What are we doing here? It's because, yeah, I was looking at this boost. That was the boost. It still attacked me. I haven't taken my damage yet. I am so sorry about that. I was like, why haven't I moved that yet? Did I make that big of a mistake? No. So it attacked for 1. There was no extra damage here because that was the boost ability that stunned me. So I take 1 plus the additional 1 from the Spectre of Death. So I got to take 2 damage to Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler takes 2 damage. And then now this comes over here. Now we go to the encounter step. We deal ourselves an encounter card. And, oh, same card. Back to back. Alright, so we got War Weary here. This time we're doing the when revealed. So when revealed, you're stunned. I'm already stunned. You cannot have multiple stuns. If you were already stunned, take 2 damage instead. Nope, never mind. I wish I wasn't stunned, so that means I got to take 2 damage instead. So I take 2 more damage. And that was the encounter step. We go back to the hero phase. Well, yeah, I got a little cocky there. Don't get cocky, kid. Well, that was annoying because of what I was planning on doing. I need to not be stunned. So, like I said, the next attack I do is remove the stun instead. So I was going to do this attack, but instead, we'll exhaust Nightcrawler and say we're attacking, which is going to get removed the stun. So nothing happens. And then next we're going to do Teleport Drop, which costs 2. So notice this resource card has 2 on it, so that pays for it. And it's a hero action attack. Discard a copy of BAMF from an enemy, deal 8 damage to that enemy, and stun it. Oh, I didn't even see the stun. I just saw 8 damage. Jeez. So we're going to choose Pestilence. We're going to remove the BAMF from Pestilence. And then that goes to my discard pile. And then that does 8 damage to Pestilence. Taking Pestilence to 0. And see, that's where if I wouldn't have got stunned, I was hoping to attack with North Star for 2. Nightcrawler for 1. Take out Death. And we would have won. But War Weary just hit me. And North Star had this thing cancel boost, but it's only the boost icon, so he couldn't have canceled that boost ability. We're going to have North Star go ahead and attack Death. And as we're going over there, I realized I forgot to stun. It said do 8 damage and stun Pestilence, so just in case Pestilence, because it will be the next active villain. So at least Pestilence is stunned. And I like to put it over this, that way I can remember. So North Star's attacking Death for 2. Taking Death to 1. God, we can do 1 more damage, but I know I can't. So Death gains Retaliate 1. Has Retaliate 1. And always considered to have the 1 hit point. So Retaliate 1 is going to be enough to knock out North Star. But he was knocked out anyways because of the consequence damage. And then, as a hero response, after I attack Death, you attack Death, resolve his forced response as if you just attacked you. I am going to do that, so his forced response is deal 1 damage to each character you control. So I do another 1 damage to Nightcrawler. And that lets me discard this card. So we're back to just me now, and I went through all my allies I think that were in the deck, so that means we're going to have to hopefully draw another, well, it's just 1 damage, so if we just survive the villain phase. But unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to do something else. Yeah, we're going to try it out. Come get me, bub. We're going to play it as a hero action. Discard cards from the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play engaged with you. After that, I get to heal 3 damage from my identity and give my identity a tough status card. So, we got to reveal till we get a minion. Oh, well, we hit one right off the bat. Executioner here. So, it comes over here and gets engaged with us. But what I like to do when I'm doing these films, I like to just go ahead and put all the bad guy stuff in one area since I'm the only character. So, we know it's engaged with me. But we got a win revealed here for Executioner. It says, when Executioner is revealed, Executioner attacks the friendly character with the fewest remaining hit points. Uh-oh. If this attack defeats an ally, remove that ally from the game. Okay, well, it's not going to be an ally. It's only me because I'm the only one remaining. So, It's going to attack me for 2. Now, unlike the villains, they do not get the additional boosts or anything, so... Oh, man. He attacked me for 2, so if I would have timed that wrong, it wouldn't have mattered. Alright, so he attacked me for 2. Now I do the rest of Come Get Me, Bub, which is heal 3 damage. So 1, 2, 3. So really I just healed 1. Netted 1 from that. But I get a tough status card. And what a tough status card is it's a card that attaches to you, and it says the next time this character would take any amount of damage, discard this status card instead. So I become tough. So my next damage, whether it be 1, whether it be 20, whatever, instead, that tough just goes away. And, I mean, I wasn't going to bring it out because I was going to discard them anyways, but might as well, it's an upgrade, so I'm going to pay for this upgrade with this card. It just says play under any player's control. It's an upgrade, like I said, it's kind of like an attachment, kind of like the BAMFs, but the BAMFs go on villains. As a response, after you defeat an enemy during the villain phase, exhaust this card to draw 2 cards. Actually, that's pretty good. I like that. So, we'll put that into play. With that, I have no cards in hand, have no more actions I wish to do. So, we are going to... Oh, well, first, we have to draw up to our hand size of 5. Hoping to draw an attack. Well, so there's our attack. So, once again, we're in the same boat here. I wish Death was attacking me, but Death's not going to attack me, so... Now we ready all of our stuff. Go back to the villain phase. We accelerate the scheme for 1. I am in hero form. So War is going to attack me. I could do BAM, so I'm not going to exhaust, but I'm not going to exhaust anyways. I'm just going to take it. So he's doing 2 plus 3, so doing 5 plus the 1 from this, 6 damage. Woo! But luckily I have the toughness, so I absorb all the damage. Or instead, I just get rid of the toughness card instead of taking the damage. And remember, each villain activates against each player, and then each minion engaged with that player is going to attack. So Executioner is going to attack me now. I'm going to play Powerful Punch here. It says, as a hero interrupt, when an enemy initiates an attack, he's initiating an attack against me, deal 4 damage to that enemy. So we're going to pay for that with this. It's got 2 resources on the bottom. Powerful Punch. Executioner initiate attack against me, so I get to deal 4 damage to... Remember, that's the reason interrupts are before. He's initiating an attack against me, so now I'm going to do 4 damage to him, which is going to knock him out before he attacks me. So that's enough because he's got 4 hit points to knock out Executioner. We go to the encounter step, deal ourselves an encounter card. Oh, I was like, don't I have to deal myself... Oh, forced activation. He doesn't do this attack part because 0 hit points. But the other forced activation is over here, which I kind of like because it's stunned, so it ain't going to be able to do anything anyways. Sorry, I know I'm timing that all wrong, but here we go. A side scheme. A side scheme. Okay. So... Yep. So if we had this still into play, I mean, it gets 6 on there. And if we had this in play still, the player who defeats this scheme discards the top 10 cards of their deck. It gets 6 on there. And we'd have to add an extra acceleration of a threat each turn. But that's the encounter step. Oh man, I'm just forgetting triggers all the time. We also have this one. Because I threw it in play not thinking about it, but I just went ahead and did it. After you defeat an enemy, I just defeated an enemy during the villain phase. So I didn't even realize that's only during the villain phase, so I had to do a card like that. I did that. Exhaust this card to draw 2 cards. Okay. So we get Tally-Ho and Rogue here. Okay, I forgot Rogue was in the deck. Alright, we're back to the hero phase. I forgot to say because that was the end of the encounter thing. And man, yeah. I was going to port and punch, but... Rogue being one of my favorite characters, I want to bring out Rogue. So she costs 4. 4. We bring Rogue out. And we're going to have Rogue go ahead and finish off Death and attack Death for 2. So, finish off Death, which is enough for us to get the win. Yeah, that was pretty fast. I mean, I did draw pretty lucky on a lot of stuff. I did this with the... well, I say I did this. Let me talk about what I'm doing. I'm going to go through the deck now and just talk about the cards now. And see how I feel about them now. See if they have the same feel I do in the unboxing. But yeah, that was cool. I mean, I kind of figured reading it. Plus, Protection is one of my play styles. I know I'm a little rusty on the camera and I'm just doing things that I'm not doing very well on camera. But I'm in the process of doing some moving around and getting a new area to film in that I feel more comfortable in and whatnot, to where I can feel like I can do more stuff. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. You're here to talk about cards. So let's go through the deck now and look at these new cards. I mean, first off, let's talk about... well, let's talk about the villain stuff. So the villain stuff, the only thing that was new to this was the Crazy Gang, and we really didn't hit much of them. I mean, yeah. I mean, they got a lot of numbers down here at the bottom. So we saw that these two. That was just a big number. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Crazy Game side scheme, which we didn't see, which I remember right from the unboxing was really annoying. We did see with the Executioner. Man, if that would have came out at a different time, that could have been really bad. Well, it just would have taken out an ally. Gambit, I think, was my lowest at one point. I don't know, and then we had, well, they all exchanged at one point when they were the lowest, so it just would have been less damage I would have dealt out. So, but yeah, that could be kind of annoying. Man, back-to-back, the stun, that thing. Man, this is the most... well, that's right, I got rid of this. This is the most... I should have cleaned all this up, but I did not. Getting that hunted. Oh, yeah, we did see Jester. But he was just, once again, a boost, just like with the Queen of Hearts here. So, we did at least see half of them. And then, let's go look at the other half. Where were they? Tweedledope. I just realized on Tweedledope. I just realized with Tweedledope, it's got a boost ability here. But don't say what the boost is. I'm assuming do this. Let's see if the others have something. I just noticed that. I didn't notice that during the unboxing. But yeah, it's got a boost ability, not a boost, you know, like for extra damage or scheming. But it's got a boost ability here, but it doesn't say what the boost ability is. I'm assuming do this. Sorry, let me go find the others. Maybe it'll be in the scheme. Alright, it said 6 of them, so that's all of them. So we got off with his head. We'll see if it says it in any of these. Each minion activates against the player it is engaged with. If no minion activates this way, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck till a minion is discarded and reveal that minion. So it's going to be bad in any deck where there's a bunch of minions. Then we got the Crazy Gang. After a non-elite minion schemes against a player, deal that minion to that player as a face-down encounter card. Then if there's more than one player in the game, pass that face-down encounter card to the next player. And I get it. So it makes these, when revealed, they come out, they're going to scheme. So that's where you're going to give them 0 scheme. They're going to scheme, but then they're going to come out and do this annoying stuff, which we saw they all do annoying stuff. The Queen of Hearts didn't say anything about that. I wonder if that's a misprint or they just forgot to put the boost ability. I mean, if I was playing and we hit that, I would have said just do this, which would be annoying, but I just noticed that, and that is weird. And maybe I'm just overthinking or something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just wonder if that's a misprint. It's supposed to be 1, you know, additional damage, or if you're supposed to do this boost ability. If I was playing like normally, or if this would have came out during this one, I probably would have done this. But it could also just be a 1-1, but I probably would have done this because I always cater to the side that's disadvantageous to me. That way, if I did something, I did it to where it hurts me more than helps. So, yeah, it's weird that I didn't notice that during the unboxing. So I have to see if they talk about that online. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, somebody mentioned online that it was just saying you need to go see if there's something there, or maybe if there's there are some cards that say just go look for a boost ability. I don't know. Like I said, while these guys seem annoying, I feel like this is something where you should do that. So until I see something otherwise, I'm going to cater to decide that you have to do this. Because that's kind of how that... granted, it wasn't from the same... Yeah, see, like, it wasn't from the same deck, but... You know, like this one's got that... It says, you are stunned if you were already stunned, take 2 damage instead. And then if it was revealed, normally you are stunned if you're... So I would cater to that just because, like I said, I cater to the harder anyways if I don't know. Just because I've never seen one there that doesn't have a thing there. So until I see something online, that's the way I'm going to rule it. But, yeah. Anyways, that's enough about that. That's only because I saw it as a misprint. Let's talk about this. I like to do this because it lets me see if what I thought about a card initially was what I thought, or if I noticed I misread something and went through it. So Change of Fortune. I mean, I don't know if I've noticed that it said the villain phase, but I mean, considering a lot of protection does that stuff, and I will say this, as I played this deck, this thing seemed amazing, and I've been noticing that more and more. A lot of these decks that I get them, yeah, I see a few cards I want to put somewhere else, like, yeah, instantly I want to put Gambit in my X-Men Ally deck or whatever. But a lot of these decks I'm keeping together. They're pretty good right out of the box. And that's what I was kind of showing here. At first I was thinking maybe just the 4 Horsemen are just a little too easy. And I do think they're a little easy. But at the end of the day, these precons are so good. And this one just... yeah, it felt like I'm just doing damage. Let's just do this. But anyways, all right. Enough jibber jabber. Change of Fortune. Yeah, I mean, granted, it has to be during a villain phase. You have to beat them. But as you saw, you just do a minion. And you can draw 2 cards. And you don't even discard it. So, I don't know if I'd play with 3 of them. But yeah, I can see this being like a staple in a protection deck. Or like at least a 1 of or 2 of maybe. I'd probably do a 1 of personally just because I'd want to spread it out amongst my decks. Yeah, that was cool. We've seen, like I said, I swear I've seen this one before. It may not be, but if not, it's something similar. But I mean, yeah, you saw it was good, especially against minions or to do that last final hit in on a boss. I mean, 4 damage is 4 damage, and you get to deal it out before it happens. I don't really like these. I mean, I can see this being very situational, and especially if you're playing protection and you have stuff like this in hand, why not? Or you know you got them in your deck, why not play this? Get your little bit of healing so you don't have to flip to your alter ego form and exhaust to get a little bit of healing, you know. Plus you get the tough status cards where you can take a little bit more. You just got to worry about the decks that are going to have the minions like that one that came out and done some crazy stuff, you know. But no, and I think I said that on the unboxing. Personally, I didn't like the Justice card that was like this to a degree, where it done the side scheming you do, but you could draw cards. But I'm cool with cards like this where you have them as an option. And like I said, this is another one I'd probably play with 1 of in a deck just for those situations. Oh man, I really need to heal, or and plus I get the tough status, so I mean that's cool. Yeah, Scout Ahead. That's the typical remove 3 threat. And if you have a Bamf in hand, you get to remove 3 threats. So if I like, it was getting kind of dangerous and hairy there, but really, my only thing I don't like on this one is just another scheme. But I mean, it's still 3 and then 3 for 1. Really 2 because you're going to discard a Bamf if you're going to do the second part. But 1 to get rid of 3, and then if you discard a Bamf, you get 6 out of it. I mean, 3 and 3 on 2 different. That's still good. I didn't play it. I discarded it. Tally-ho after Bamf makes Nightcrawler the defender of an attack. Well, here. Let's do this the way I did the unboxing. That way I make sure I'm not just doing things. Let's zoom in a little bit. So as a hero response, defense, after Bamf makes Nightcrawler the defender of an attack, return that copy of Bamf to your hand. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, if it wasn't for just wanting to do the rogue thing, I might have even played the game out a little bit longer to finish off death by doing this, because I would have went for the defense and knocked him out that way. I could have done it. I just wanted Rogue to pull it off. But yeah, it's pretty good. Well, he didn't have a Bamf on him, so it didn't matter. So, well, I could have spent 1 and brought it back to my hand and just done the bamf and just did it. But yeah, that's cool because I mean, it does the same thing what I was talking about here, but it only costs 1 because it is your card, and you have to bring the bamf back. So, but it goes back to your hand, so that's really good. Getting those bamfs back to your hand just seems really good, especially if it's going to knock out a minion, and so you can get it and put it on a villain or take that villain to the next stage. So you can do that. Yeah, I like it. This one I'm always questionable on, and people love it, so let me relook at it. I want to say I may have tried it once. Play only if your identity has a mutant trait. After a mutant alter ego changes into hero form, exhaust her. I mean, that's cool. I'm not going to say it's bad. I mean, it's half the price of the Avengers Mansion. Can only be used for mutants. And it's only when you switch to hero form. But I mean, if you're not playing solo and you're playing with another character or another player and they have a mutant also, so I can see how it could be good. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's good. I like it. It just typically I could see, like, if I'm having to cut cards, I'd probably end up, if I got room, I'd keep it. Like right now, I'm not going to take out this deck. I'm actually probably going to keep most of this deck together. The stuff where I said I only like one of, I'll probably keep one of in and throw some other protection cards in that do some stuff. So we'll see. Riposte, just kind of like that other one, just gives you the extra defense. But if you take no damage, the 3, so really good with him because you're going to get a 5 defense. Oh, I got him off camera, sorry. You're going to get a 5 defense, and then I think he had a way to get another defense, so you're talking 6. This could be really good for only 1. These are always just good if you're playing with the deck, and I mean 2. We did not see the new player side scheme. I remember reading it though. After an X-Men character defends against an enemy attack and takes no damage, remove 1 threat from the scheme. Which we just talked about. There's a lot of ways that cannot happen, which I did take damage for a little while there. Stun and confuse each enemy in play. Against the 4 Horsemen, you just now stunned and confused all of them. And that's just a response to remove stuff off here. I don't see anything that says I can't scheme and remove or thwart and remove the scheme away from this. So, I mean, yeah, I can see that. Now, against a villain that's only 1 villain and they don't have that many minions and you didn't put that many of the extra minions in it, I can see how that could be kind of bad. But, yeah, it's good. Yeah, just, I mean, always good. 2 resources. These are almost staples, in my opinion, unless your resource curve is just too low. Counts as 2 restricted cards. Here's what I was thinking of. +1 attack and +1 defense, and he gets retaliate 1. Especially with those defenses, because even if you don't take damage, you get to retaliate and do extra damage. I mean, yeah, I like it. Rogue, we didn't get to see her ability, but I mean, 2/2 with 3 hit points, so you're talking 6 thwart and scheme. Plus, you can deal damage to her. She does get to add the printed. So, I mean, just with your base, if you have your... Oh, no, printed. Never mind. I did the same thing during the unboxing. I just realized, and I said the same thing then. But, I mean, still, I mean, she could thwart for 4. So, we're talking 12. Or... she can attack for 3 for 9. Now, Granger paying 4. That is a little costly. That is a lot of cards you're going to have to discard. So you're talking the strength or the power of protection where it counts as 2 or something. I was thinking Ariel because I think there's something that... yeah, but she's not Ariel, so... Which is weird they didn't give her the Ariel trait. I guess because that there is that card that says if you use it with Ariel, it counts as a double, but... we know Rogue can fly. Alright. Change of Fortune we talked about. Port Punch, we talked about that during the playthrough. I mean, 3 damage. 3 damage for each bamf. Granted, like I said, that's very good in this case with the 4 Horsemen because we could spread out the bamfs and do a lot of damage is what we did. But most of the time, unless there's a lot of minions out, I just don't see it doing a lot. I'm not saying this card's bad. That is really good, but yeah, I can see how it could... because I was thinking, oh my god, 12 damage for 2, but... yeah, I can see how there wouldn't be that many. Tally-ho, we talked about already. Good. Change of Fortune. Riposte. Powerful Punch. Energy. Come get me, bub. North Star, I mean, I like him. I mean, 3 for 3. You're going to get about 6 damage. And it's if you don't use this, but like if one of those boosts would have came up as a 3, you know, and I don't want to take that damage, because remember, some of those said if you take damage, if you don't take no damage, then, or if you take no damage, then you get to do something special. So maybe you cancel out that boost, you know, or... But no, I like him. He's good. Bamf, I mean, the main ability. Yeah, discard a copy of Bamf from an enemy. I just only saw the deal 8 damage. I don't remember if I saw stun it. So, I mean, 8 damage and a stun. That's really good. And there was one point where Pestilence had that Bamf and had 8. Now, granted, I couldn't tell that I was going to draw this. But yeah, I could have just held it till the end, done 8 damage just right off the bat. Didn't have to do any extra attacks. Yeah, really good. Important punch. I had this in hand. Gives you +1 recovery. I'm not. That's not bad, especially with someone like Nightcrawler who only has 9 hit points. After you make a basic recovery, exhaust it to choose a player, and that player draws a card. So I mean, definitely these supports. But I don't know. He does so much damage. Does he really need it? But then again, you're depending on hoping you don't take a lot of damage or something. I had these. Oh, it's because it attaches to a minion. We didn't have minions out. After a hero defends against an attached minion's attack and takes no damage, deal 4 damage. I mean, that's good, because it's a response. And you don't have to discard it, right? Attached to a minion, max 1. As a response, after a hero defends against an attached minion. Oh, yeah, because it's going to be... Never mind. Duh. You want to discard it? Yeah, it'll be attached to the minion, and they'll go away. But, I mean, yeah, like that Executioner, if I would have had this, I didn't have to pay nothing. I put it on him and then just defend. Yeah, I'm going to take some damage, but... he gets knocked out. I like it. I just don't like. I just don't like I said. If you've watched my channel, you know I'm just not very big on situational stuff. We talked about Scout Ahead, so I think we talked about most of them. Gambit. I just said, man. Now, granted, you could also whiff. I hit a 3. I mean, you're probably gonna hit a 2. You might hit a 3. I don't remember if there's an actual 4. I want to say there's like 1 4 I've seen before, but I mean. Hitting a 3 was really good, but even if you hit a 2, you're talking 6. And you're taking out, like you could use it like I just went for the big bang for my buck, but yeah, I could have gotten rid of that death one and not worried about it and just let that other side scheme come into play. Yeah, I like him. Pos, we talked about powerful punch, power. Day Tripper, I mean, it's the one that comes in your base deck and... she lets you get a Bamf and then does some damage for 2. Yeah, good. I had this, and I guess now that I think of it, I was playing some events. It just felt to me that it goes better to get those allies out and do as much damage as I could as fast as possible, because I wanted to get their hit points gone so they wouldn't get their extra abilities. But it gives you an additional restricted slot because you are restricted to only 2. Remember, that other one takes up both of them, so this will let you have the additional restricted slot. And then you can exhaust it to generate a wild resource for an event, so it helps pay for your events to make them cheaper, which those events, remember, some of them are 1 and 2, so I was saying, yeah, you got to pay 2 or you got to pay 1. Well, now this is free, so I mean, yeah, I thought about it and almost played it, but then I was just like, I want to get these allies out and do a bunch of damage. I think that might be it. Port Away. I did not use it because I just didn't think I needed to at the moment, but anything that's going to let you change forms, that's what it does. As an action, discard a copy of Bam from your hand, change forms, and ready your identity. I mean, where I see it good at is if you are hit for damage, like I was at that 5, you know, so... I could switch to Alter Ego form, recover for 3, play this, discard Bam from hand, switch back to this. And I mean, when I go to this, I could go get a Bam from my deck if I don't have one. If there is one in the decks, or whatever. But if not, then I could also just go here. I could spend 1 resource of any type, return a copy of Bam from my discard pile. So, I mean, being able to do the heal, get back over to your form and do some stuff seems good. Yeah, because it lets you ready. Yeah. So, no, that was fun. I kind of figured it would be. It was my play style. I do like it. Like I said, not a huge fan of Nightcrawler. Don't dislike him, just not a huge fan. I know a lot of people are. But I just knowing what his ally did and the things it could do, and then after seeing the unboxing, yeah, it was exactly what I kind of expected. And yeah, I like it. I don't think, like I said, other than the cards I said I wouldn't play with more than one of, I'll probably keep this deck pretty much together. I liked it. It works good. I don't see anything. I mean, not off the top of my head, I mean, I could think of a few things like one of my favorite protection cards. I just can't think of it. It's the... I know the organized play kits had a full art of it where you get +2 defense, and my brain's just not thinking of it right now, guys. But and then it says if you don't take any damage, you get to ready your character anyway, so you don't have to spend that BAMF. You can leave it on the bad guy and then basically get the additional pluses and all that stuff. I might even throw in the upgrade that basically it's like Retaliate, but not really. Or you can even throw in shields. Some of the upgrades that are shields so that you can guarantee not taking the damage. So actually, I want to say there's an Iron Man deck I was toying around with and trying to get working. I may actually take some of those cards from it and bring it over to here and see if I can't do something with this, like do a techie thing with this one. But anyways, video's long enough. Sorry it took so long. I did wait 4 days before playing this. It might be a little bit before I get this edit out. I don't know. Situations just looking for a better place to film at, and the place I edit at is just kind of rough. So hopefully we can get that all taken care of. But anyways, I won't bore y'all with that. Hope y'all enjoyed this playthrough. If y'all saw me make any mistakes, I mean, I know I made a lot of them. Kind of caught them quickly, I think. But I'll see in the edit if I make any mistakes. But yeah. If I see any, just let me know. I'm always learning in this game. There were like the look things and yeah, anyways. I'll let y'all go. Thank you for watching and have a great day.